Welcome again to another episode of B&P Hockey Talk. We thank you again for tuning us in. I'm your host, Aaron Bloxel, with my co-host, Mr. Matt Balzer. And remember to like and share us on Facebook. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Big night in the NHL last night, 12 games. We're going to talk about a few of the games. Obviously, there's no games tonight, which, again, we feel kind of weird. No games on a Friday night. So many games tomorrow, though, so just a little bit of break in the schedule. But, man, we got lots to talk about from last night. First and foremost, let's talk about a record that was broken. Morgan Rielly, defenseman on the Toronto Maple Leafs, 12 points in his first 5 games, break a modern-day era record set by Bobby Orr in 1971, where he had 11 points in his first 5 games. I don't know, man. This guy is going to get a lot of points this year because he could play when both Tavares and Matthews are on the ice. What are your thoughts on the high-flying Toronto? And can Austin Matthews keep up the pace? 9 goals already in 5 games.
I know, it's absolutely crazy. It's like they got the top 4 point getters in the NHL right now, not also including John Tavares, who has 10 points, and Marner, who also has another 10 points. So those 4 guys are carrying the team like no tomorrow. It's just that power play continues to click. Another 2 power play goals last night against Detroit. So they get their opportunities and they make you pay. But Austin Matthews, will this guy get 60-plus goals this year? Stamkos is the last guy to do it, and Ovechkin's the only other guy, at least in my lifetime, that I remember that's gotten 60-plus goals.
Should Gretzky be worried about 50 goals in 39 games? Is that a record that Matthews could potentially reach? I know it's early, but is that something you see happening?
I don't think so. Matthews is a really good player, but to go at that pace and to be over a goal a game in that short amount of time, I can't see that happening.
Will they trade Nylander for a defenseman that they need?
I know, yeah. It's as we're getting closer to November here, it's going to be very interesting. I think the Leafs don't want to go over $6.5 million for Nylander. So as this drags into November, it will be interesting to see what exactly they do, especially if Kasperi Kapanen continues to play as well as he has, getting bumped up to the Matthews line. I believe he didn't get any points last game, but he had 4 points in the past 2 games on that line. So if Kapanen continues to grow his game, I think the Leafs could consider trading Nylander to get another top-end defenseman.
Well, they definitely have some good supporting wingers and players there in Kadri, Marleau, Hyman, and Kapanen, who you mentioned, on top of Marner, Tavares, and Matthews. So lots of offense there. Another game that stood out to me was the rematch of the Western Finals. Wasn't quite the Western Finals. It was the Central Division Finals. Winnipeg and Nashville. My God, was that ever a vicious game. I don't know if you saw some of the highlights, but, man, those are 2 teams that do not like each other.
Well, right off the bat there, Blake Wheeler dropped the gloves trying to go after Forsberg there, but nobody wanted to go with him. But then they took a lot of dumb penalties. Like Nikolai Ehlers drove Ellis into the net for a penalty, and Bufflin did the same thing. I forget to which Nashville or to Nick Bonino drove him into the net, and then there was a line brawl, which there was a really nice slow-mo of 2 fights going on at once, with some heavy punches getting thrown. But yeah, it was a really physical game, and as much as Winnipeg took a whole lot of penalties, it was a 1-0 game until closer to the end of the third, where Nashville got a couple goals to win 3-0.
Yeah, but those couple goals were both beautiful goals. Connor Hellebuyck had a heck of a game, as did Pekka Rinne. The goaltending for those 2 teams when they want to is absolutely unbelievable. But, man, those 2 teams sure were up for that game, and I'm looking forward to seeing them play each other at least 3 more times this year, if I'm not mistaken. So another game which we'll talk about for the local marketplace, of course, Vancouver Canucks somehow finding a way to win against Tampa Bay 4-1 after absolutely getting dominated in the first two periods. What did you like about the game?
Well, first off, this game was stolen by Anders Nielsen in that, making 33 saves on 34 shots, especially the first two periods. I believe it was like halfway through the second period, and they were getting outshot 21-7. And they ended up getting up to 28 shots by the end of the third period. But Nielsen, especially early when the Canucks took two early penalties to start the game, really held the Canucks in it. And then in the third period, Elias Pettersson got that tip off his pants or his stick. But, the good players, they know where to be on the ice. And that got things going for the Canucks. And then finally, the flow. Brock Besser just wired one past Vasilevsky to get the game winner. And then Shotgun Jake with an empty netter and an assist last game. So just a complete effort, or well, not a complete effort, but the Canucks found a way to hang on in the game and get the goals late in the game. And just hold out. And I think an interesting stat was a lot of the young guys, especially Jake Virtanen, gained a whole lot of ice time towards the end of the third period. That Green's starting to show some trust in some of these younger guys and giving them chances to be shutdown players when the games matter.
Yeah, I thought the Canucks did well to hold on. They pulled off a good road win. Elias Pettersson definitely turned it on in the third period. He was very noticeable with multiple chances before getting this goal scoring started. A couple empty net goals at the end, but the Canucks have two pretty good lines to shut you down, and they also had some great penalty killing last night. Mm-hmm. One of the other games I noticed too that we'll touch on is Pittsburgh beating Vegas. Mm-hmm. Vegas is now 1-5 to start the season. Should they be alarmed?
Yeah, I think so. I think things are starting to come back to earth down in Vegas. I think the Paul Stastny injury right now, that's hurting, along with Nate Schmidt not being on that blue line. That's affecting their top four, and then Fleury not being on the top of his game right now. But the Penguins, that offense continues. Phil Kessel with his first career hat trick as a Pittsburgh Penguin, with Malkin setting him up for, I believe, all three goals, including a couple breakaway snipes. But yeah, it looks like Casey DeSmith had an excellent game in net for Pittsburgh. It looks like Murray will join the road trip for Pittsburgh over the weekend. So it appears that he's actually closer than first, as first reports may look long term.
Jack Campbell, his first career shutout for the Los Angeles Kings, shutting out the Montreal Canadiens in Montreal last night 3-0. What did you see in that game?
Yeah, so Campbell with 40 saves for the shutout last night. Is just a complete effort by Campbell and net from start to finish. And then Jeff Carter had a huge game for the Canadiens, 1 goal and 3 points last night. Montreal threw everything at LA, but I guess it's a thing in LA now where it doesn't matter which goalie's in net, that defensive structure and everything really comes together. And especially Jack Campbell, I feel good for him because he was a first rounder for Dallas. I forget, it might have been like 6 or 7 years ago. So it's a long time coming for him to get into the NHL and start to live up to that first round draft hype back in the day there.
Finally, the Rangers sat $7 million Kevin Shattenkirk as a healthy scratch yesterday and ended up winning 3-2 in overtime. Again, I believe that was against San Jose, if I'm not mistaken, and getting their first win of the season. What did you think of that? And are we going to see more of that this season with teams sitting players that aren't performing?
Well, we're seeing that here in Vancouver, at least to start the season, with Del Zotto being a healthy scratch for two games, and Sam Gagner getting sent down to the minors. I think especially with the younger guys coming up in all the team systems, I think teams will look to play the best players. It's like usually that's just talk by coaches and general managers, but it's another thing to see it actually done, which is good because it keeps players responsible for their game and showing up every night. And especially with the defense last night, they got 2 goals from their back end with Brendan Smith and Brady Shea both scoring goals. So they're getting contributions from their younger players that are coming up. And Lundqvist with 41 saves last night on 43 shots. So he was that backbone. And the young rookie Brett Howden with a really nice goal, scoring between, shooting the puck through his legs backhand style to get a goal. And the last game I want to bring up was the Boston-Edmonton game, where David Pastrnak probably scored the goal of the night last night, putting the puck through his legs, going around the defenseman in the slot, and then two or three stick handles and backhand upstairs. Just an amazing goal. Just to let people know, I will put up some of the highlights from last night up later today. It's just that I had a hockey game last night, so I wasn't able to put the highlights up. So with no games today, you will be getting some hockey recaps coming up with some of the beautiful goals from last night.
Edmonton Oilers starting the season 0-2, and their counterpart from Europe, New Jersey Devils, complete opposite, shutting out the Washington Capitals 6-0 last night with their home opener, starting the season 2-0. Do you think New Jersey is going to be the real deal this year?
Yeah, well, so far so good. We'll see with that offense that they have so far. Guys are staying healthy. Palmieri had another 2 goals last night. Usually he runs into some injury troubles as the season goes along, but that top line of Hall, Heischer, and Palmieri have been good. And Kincaid, it'll be interesting to see when Schneider comes back from injury if he can continue to keep the number 1 role there in Jersey, especially. I believe he's a UFA at the end of this season. So if at the end of the year, New Jersey's going to have a decision to make if they're going to trade Schneider or if they want to continue to go with Kincaid and net.
If you haven't seen the highlights yet for that game, do so as Christian Juice threw a monster hit on Taylor Hall. And it was a really good clean body check. So final thoughts from last night, and give us an update out of Florida with one of their players.
Yeah, so basically another entertaining, high offensive night in the NHL, even going around just a few other games to note, Minnesota and Chicago. Jonathan Toews continues his monster start with another 2 assists, which is the best start for Chicago in the first 4 games. Toews has 8 points. That's the best start to start a season in Chicago since 88-89, where Denny Savard had 10 points in his first 4 games to start the season. And the update in Florida, their tough guy Michael Haley has entered the NHLPA Player Assistance Program to help, most likely with him being a tough guy. He had 22 fights last year, probably dealing with I don't want to speculate just because we don't know. But at least he stepped up. We saw with the Robin Leonard story to start the year with his depression and alcoholism and all that he has stepped up and entered that program, and we wish him the best here and for a quick recovery.
Yeah, hopefully everything goes okay there and you can get back on track. So once again, like and share us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube. This has been another episode of B&B Hockey Talk. We hope you enjoyed listening to our show, and we look forward to seeing you guys next week on Monday. Have a fantastic weekend, everyone.